Life in the Nordics is pretty calm and quiet. We are surrounded by nature, there's a strong focus on balance, and there's a certain simplicity in how we live. But with that comes a way of life that might seem really strange and surprising to outsiders. Some of our habits don't just look unusual, they completely go against what most people consider normal. But for us, these habits are just part of life. Some are practical, some come from old traditions, and others are just things we do without really thinking. And the truth is, many of them help us live healthier, feel less stressed, and stay more connected to nature. So today I want to share 10 things we do in the Nordic countries that may look weird to you, but actually make a lot of sense. The first one is raising kids to be independent from a young age. Here kids grow up with a lot of freedom. I started walking to school alone when I was just 6 years old, and no one thought it was strange here. It's just how things are. You'll see young kids running errands by themselves, buying things from the store, taking the public transport, or playing outside for hours, even in winter. As long as they come home for dinner, no one really worries, so parents don't watch over their kids all the time. If a kid falls, for example, they are expected to get up and figure it out. No one rushes in unless it's, of course, something serious. I think we believe that this kind of independence teaches problem solving from an early age to kids. Like I learned to cook some basic food when I was maybe 10 years old, something like that. And by 14 or 15, most of us already start working in summer jobs. So because of this, moving out at 18 or 19 is very normal, and some people do it earlier if they are, for example, moving to another city to start a high school. To outsiders, this might seem quite strange and even risky. In many places, young kids aren't left alone at all. The idea of a child playing alone outside in the snow for hours would probably be seen as a serious neglect or even a crime. But here, it's just part of growing up. Kids learn to think for themselves, become more confident, and really stay active. So walking, biking, and exploring their surroundings on their own. In fact, kids are expected to exercise for at least 3 hours every single day, and staying indoors isn't really an option. We go outside to play no matter the weather, and it's only when the temperature drops to around -20°C that staying indoors starts to feel acceptable. So if parents had to supervise everything, kids would end up doing much less, simply because parents are usually so busy. And this independence works because of something else, trust, which leads to the next point, which is trusting strangers. Trust is a really big part of life in the Nordics. People leave their things unattended in public places without worrying at all about them disappearing. In the library, where I go multiple times a week, I always just leave my laptop, phone, and earphones on the table when I go, for example, for a bathroom break or eat lunch. And it is completely normal. It's the same actually with homes. If someone comes to install something in your home, you don't need to stay and watch them like every single step that they are doing. You can just leave them in your house alone, knowing everything will be exactly as you left it. In many places, leaving your things unattended even for a few minutes could mean asking for a lot of trouble and the things to be stolen, and letting a stranger into your home without any supervision might sound absolutely crazy. And probably it is in many places. But here it works. Theft and scams are not that common, and the culture of trust and, of course, social welfare systems are a big reason why. When people assume the best in others, it creates a safer, more relaxed society where everyone feels at ease. It's about building a community where people respect and look out for each other. The third one is leaving babies outside to nap. Here, this is seen as completely normal. Even in freezing temperatures, you'll see rows of strollers parked outside cafes, daycare centers, and balconies with babies peacefully sleeping outside. To outsiders, this might seem really risky or even dangerous. The idea of a newborn like sleeping in the cold sounds something that parents definitely should not allow. But here people believe that the fresh air is really good for babies, and many say that they sleep longer and better when they are outdoors compared to if they were always indoors. And of course the babies are like wrapped in warm clothes and blankets, so they stay cozy even if it's cold. This habit means families don't feel trapped indoors all winters, and babies grow up used to the outdoors from day one. It might look strange, but here it's just another way to raise happy, healthy kids. The fourth weird habit is ice bathing in winter. People here willingly jump into freezing lakes or the sea during winter as a hobby. And it's not just for extreme sports enthusiasts who want to recover extremely fast. All kinds of people do it. Office workers, retirees, students. It's common to see small holes cut into frozen lakes, specifically made for winter swimming, and some people do it as part of their weekly or even daily routine. The ice baths can last anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes depending on experience and obviously preference. What's funny is that in many places cold water is something to avoid, not something to seek out or enjoy. Most people associate ice water with survival situations, not pure relaxation, but here it's seen as normal. There are a lot of public ice swimming spots in many cities, and they are usually quite cheap. I used to have a membership to one, and it cost only around 30 euros for the entire year, so very few. And why people do this then? Because the benefits are actually huge for everyone. The shock of the cold releases endorphins, which gives you an instant rush of energy. That reduces stress and anxiety, and one of the best side effects is that it gives you better sleep. A few hours after a cold dip, I always feel so relaxed and ready for a deep, restful night. It might seem crazy, but it's one of those things that once you try it once, it's super easy to see why people get hooked. 5. Loving sports even if you don't play them. Here sports are a really big deal, and not just the common ones or ones people actually play themselves. We watch all kinds of sports, even the really niche ones, and get completely invested in them. Like this week I've been watching the cross-country skiing world championships like it's the Olympics. I haven't gone skiing in years. I don't really like the sport or anything like that, and I don't know even a single person competing in these championships, but somehow I still want to watch them way more than anything else. And I'm definitely not the only one. Some of the sports that get a lot of attention here aren't really common at all elsewhere, like cross-country skiing, biathlon, ski jumping, bandy, floorball, orienteering. And then there are the weird ones. Like in Finland we have wife-carrying competitions where people literally have a running race while carrying their own wives on their shoulders. We have swamp football, where players try to play football or soccer in a muddy swamp. And of course, Nordic walking, which is basically cross-country skiing, but without the skis, you're just walking with the poles. It's actually a very, very common way for people to exercise every day. I think we do this because sports, even the strange ones, bring people together. They give us something to talk about, something to cheer for, and a reason to celebrate, even if we never actually play the sports ourselves. The sixth one is early meal times. At least in Finland, meal times are much earlier than in most countries. Lunch can be before 11 a.m. and school lunches often start as early as 10:30. Because of this, people grow up eating early and it becomes just the norm. Workplaces then follow the same pattern, with lunch breaks usually between 11 and noon, so a late lunch isn't really a thing here. Dinner as well is quite early. Compared to other countries, many families eat right after work, so around 5 or even 4:30, so that there's no long wait between the meals. There isn't really any tradition for late night dining, so by the time people in Southern Europe are just sitting down for dinner around 9, we have already eaten, cleaned up, had a workout, and moved on to our night routine. If you invite here someone from another country for dinner, let's say at 5 p.m., they might assume that it was a mistake. But this schedule has its benefits. Eating early keeps energy levels stable throughout the day, and you never go to bed feeling overly full. It also leaves more time in the evening for relaxing or spending time outside instead of preparing and eating a late meal. Might seem somewhat unusual, but here it just makes sense. 7. Eating candy only on Saturdays. In the Nordics, most kids only eat candy on Saturdays. The idea is to teach them patience and that sweets are not something you should eat every day. Parents see it as a simple way to encourage healthier habits while still allowing kids to enjoy their favorite sweets every once in a while. I remember Saturday was the best day of the week by far. We would go to the store and I could pick out whatever bag of candy I wanted. It felt like a really big deal, something to always look forward to. Of course, during birthdays and holidays, we could have sweets too as kids, but the idea was to keep things balanced rather than eating candy whenever we felt like it. This habit builds self-control. Kids learn to wait instead of getting instant gratification, and because you don't have it all the time, candy actually feels so special instead of just another snack. Even as adults, some people still follow this tradition, partly maybe out of nostalgia, partly because it just makes sense. You don't have to give up sweets completely, just enjoy them in a more mindful way. Number 8. Cities become ghost towns during midsummer. Midsummer is one of the biggest holidays here, celebrated at the end of June. But unlike other major holidays that bring people together in city squares or public events, midsummer does the opposite. It empties the cities completely. Most people leave for the countryside, heading to summer cottages, lakes or islands, where they spend the weekend surrounded by nature. This tradition has been passed down for generations, and for many, it's the highlight of summer. There's no strict schedule, just relaxing, swimming, barbecuing, sauna, and lighting bonfires. Some people celebrate it very quietly with family or friends, while others turn it into a full weekend-long party. Either way, it's rare to stay in the city. And as a result, cities are then like ghost towns. Streets are empty, public transport runs less frequently, and many businesses, restaurants, and even grocery stores shut down for the holiday because there are no people. For us locals, this is completely normal, but visitors, tourists are often shocked. Imagine arriving in Helsinki or Stockholm expecting a vibrant summer atmosphere only to find a silent, almost abandoned city. I actually heard that there are some travel agencies now that sell this experience as a ghost town holiday, which I find to be pretty funny. 9. Decorating yourself with reflectors. In the Nordics, reflectors are everywhere during the dark winter months. People wear them on jackets, bags, and even shoes, and it is completely normal to see kids in full reflective vests walking to school. Many adults wear these too, and actually it doesn't stop at people. Dogs, strollers, and bicycles are often covered in reflectors as well. This might seem a bit excessive because in many places this reflective gear is only worn by cyclists, construction workers, or athletes, not everyday pedestrians. But here no one questions it because it really does make a difference. Winter darkness lasts for months for us, and they prevent accidents by making people so much more visible to drivers. Every time I go for a run without one, I don't feel as relaxed because I know that I am way harder to spot. So while it might look weird, it's actually smart. Number 10. Picking berries and mushrooms yourself instead of buying them. This is completely normal here, and many people do it every single year. When late summer and autumn arrive, people head to the forests with baskets, searching for blueberries, lingonberries, cloudberries, and various mushrooms. And this is not just something older generations or retirees do. Even kids grow up knowing which berries and mushrooms are safe to eat. Being in the forest searching for berries is incredibly relaxing. It connects people to nature and is a great way to unwind. It actually also encourages self-sufficiency, so teaching people how to gather their own food instead of relying just on grocery stores, which I think is a great thing. And in case you are wondering how we can do this legally, it's because we have this thing called every man's right, This law allows anyone to pick wild food even on land that is not theirs. It's a unique concept, and if you are curious to learn more, I explain it in more detail in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay kind and meaningful in your own beautiful journey. See you in the next one.